Why are you here? Don't ruin this important ceremony, get out of here. Why is my husband having a wedding ceremony with another woman? Why do I have to be the one yelled at to leave? Incredibly, my husband is trying to marry another woman. I stormed into the venue. But my husband was determined to proceed with the ceremony, and I lost my temper. Oh really? Then let's liven up the ceremony. I turned back to the door and called in the people waiting outside. My name is Rachel. A 32-year-old working housewife. Married to Yosef for 7 years, we've had our share of fights, but our child's presence somehow kept us going. Recently, our fights decreased, and it felt peaceful. Suddenly it hit me. The decrease in fights was simply because we spent less time together. I'll be late tonight due to overtime. Also, I have a 3-day business trip starting tomorrow. Again? You've been working hard lately. It's a time to earn when we can. Never know when the work might dry up, I have to keep at it. With that, my husband yawned and left for work. Daddy's away again? Our preschool daughter asked, rubbing her eyes. Yeah. Daddy's busy. But it's weekend tomorrow. It seemed a bit extreme to have business trips even on weekends. But knowing he's working hard for the family, I couldn't say much. With the economy being tough, it's not easy to find a job that fits all our desires. I understand that as I work too. Mom's off tomorrow. Let's go to the zoo with a packed lunch. Really? Yay! My daughter's face lit up, replacing her sad look with a smile, which made me smile too. It's a pity that being busy means missing the rapid growth of our daughter. I decided to send photos of our daughter to my husband during his trip. That night, my husband went to bed early, tired from work. He left early the next day. I was still asleep when he departed. I prepared the lunch, thinking how tough it must be for him. My daughter had a blast at the zoo. I sent lots of her smiling photos to my husband, but they remained unread, probably because he was busy at work. They were read around noon, but without any reaction. No contact from him even in the evening. I thought about calling him, but forgot as a friend's call. A call from a friend brought joyous news of her marriage. Really? Congratulations! I readily agreed to attend her wedding when invited. I wanted to tell my husband about it when he returned from his trip. I'm tired, let's talk another time, was his indifferent reply. He responded dismissively. Granted, he must be exhausted from all the overtime and business trips. When I apologized, my husband silently retreated to his room. For some time now, we've had separate bedrooms. I have no idea what he does in his own room. Sure, he might want to be alone, but isn't this a bit too much? Late nights at work followed by almost constant business trips on weekends. It's starting to seem suspicious. I've been agonizing over whether to call his office and ask. Then, one rare day off, my husband was actually at home. Our daughter was thrilled. Daddy, play with me. She tugged at his arm, but he replied, Sorry, honey, Daddy's tired. I'm still working, you know. Working? You're just playing on your phone. I'm communicating with work colleagues. My daughter looked unsatisfied. And rightfully so. There he was, lounging on the sofa, humming while fiddling with his phone. Can work interactions really make someone that cheerful? My suspicions only grew. It's a woman's intuition. I sneaked behind him to peek at his phone screen, but he was cleverly angling it just out of view. That in itself seemed suspicious. If nothing's wrong, why not be open about it? His strange lounging, surely straining his neck. Who holds their phone at such an angle unless they're hiding something? Very suspicious indeed. My doubts were turning into conviction. So, I decided to test him. You know, there's my friend's wedding coming up. It's on a weekend, and you're off, right? Can you watch Emma? The wedding was still a while away, ample time for him to adjust his schedule, especially since it's a regular day off. But predictably, his response was as expected. Huh? I have work even on weekends, you know that, right? Unlikely his schedule would be that packed so far in advance. Especially given his last-minute weekend work announcements, it just didn't add up. Moreover, he retorted, on the rare day off, you want to dump our child on me? What a cruel wife, not letting her husband rest. Shouldn't a father want to spend time with his child on his day off? Hardly spending time with her on weekdays or weekends, and now he resents the rare occasion he's asked to? What kind of parent is that? Does he not care for our daughter? His cold attitude saddened not just me, but our daughter too. His absences continued. He worked overtime until midnight every day. The next day, he'd leave early without seeing our daughter. Weekends, invariably, he was working. At this point, he was neither a husband nor a father. More like an occasional visiting uncle, if not less. Maybe less. It seemed we needed to talk over our situation. For my friend's wedding, I ended up asking my parents to watch our daughter. I decided to let her stay with them overnight. She had stayed at my parents' house alone before, so it should be fine. I decided to discuss a lot with him after my friend's wedding, while our daughter was out. On the day of the wedding, the sky was clear, perfect for the ceremony. Well, I'm off then, my husband said, leaving early in the morning. Oddly, he left for work dressed quite casually. It's okay since I'm working on weekends, he had said, but I wondered. The truth would surely emerge in our nighttime conversation. I got ready, left my daughter at my parents' house, and headed to the wedding venue. Wow, what a magnificent place! I admired. The venue was large and grand, with multiple halls for simultaneous ceremonies. The main entrance displayed the names of families holding ceremonies today. Today, for couples were getting married. It was an auspicious day, and a holiday too. No wonder it was busy. Then I noticed a couple with the same last name as mine listed at the entrance. It's a rare surname, but not impossible. What a coincidence, I thought, looking around. I spotted some familiar faces among the early guests. As I approached them, my friend looked surprised. Rachel, about that groom. What? My friend said, pointing shakily. As I looked toward the church where my friend would hold a wedding, I saw an earlier couple receiving a flower shower. That face looks familiar. Wait, Yosef! I squinted from a distance and exclaimed in shock. I could hear the crowd cheering for them, including a voice saying. Voices were blessing them, and I heard. Make sure to keep your wife happy, Yosef. That's right, the groom was my husband, Yosef. What was he doing? We've been married for 7 years, haven't we? When did we get divorced? I didn't remember divorcing. We're still married, right? Did he file for divorce without telling me? Should I check if our divorce is invalid? Should I wait until after the holiday? No, waiting is not an option here. Isn't that Rachel's husband? He looks familiar. Wait, let me calm down first. I told myself, trying to take deep breaths. It's important to stay calm. Getting heated up won't lead to any productive conversation. I couldn't think straight, seeing my husband marrying someone else. No, I can't stay calm at all. How could I be calm when my husband was marrying someone else? No, I can't calm down at all, I thought, feeling like scratching my head in frustration. My friend gently patted my shoulder, trying to comfort me. The warmth of her hand finally calmed my mind. Nodding back at my friend, I took out my phone. After the ceremony would be the reception. The large venue also had banquet halls. A glance at the entrance directory, and I found my husband's reception hall easily. Standing in front of the hall's door, I took a deep breath. After a quick glance behind, I reached for the door. I burst it open with a loud bang. In the sudden silence, all eyes turned to me. The guests at the reception stared in shock. I glanced over their faces and then looked straight ahead. There was the newlywed couple, about to cut the cake. One of them, the groom, looked at me with the most shocked expression. No wonder, he was my husband. He looked utterly surprised to see me, his wife. I approached him wordlessly. The beautifully dressed bride and my husband, knife in hand for the cake cutting. For a moment, he was dumbstruck, but when I stood right in front of him, he snapped back to reality and started panicking. What are you doing here? He dropped the knife in his fluster. Oh dear, their first joint task as a couple ruined. It was the bride who spoke to him. Yosef, do you know this woman? She looked young and beautiful, probably younger than me. She looked to be in her early 20s. My husband was visibly flustered. I don't know her. Never seen this woman before. But you just called her. Yeah, I know her, but actually I don't. What is he even saying? His ramblings were incoherent and confusing. His incoherent words baffled even the bride. In his panic, my husband blurted out, actually, she's an ex-girlfriend. An ex-girlfriend? Yes. She was my girlfriend before you. We broke up due to personality differences, but she seems not to accept it. She is persistently following me around. Oh, come on. Hey. I was utterly astounded by my husband's ludicrous claim. Poor girl, she believed him. Then, with an angry glare, my husband turned to me. Hey, we've broken up, haven't we? Don't ruin this important ceremony, I'll sue you. Just leave now. At that moment, my patience finally snapped. Sue? It's me who's going to. What? Speak up, you're mumbling. Just leave. I'm the one to sue you. Whoa! He clearly hadn't expected me to lose my temper. Taken aback by my sudden outburst, he recoiled. But I wasn't backing down, not one bit. So you want to have a wedding that badly? I'll let you have it. But it'll lack excitement without your relatives, won't it? Shouting, I turned back to the entrance of the hall. That's why I brought your relatives here. Eh? My husband was dumbfounded by my words. Then, with another loud bang, the door opened, revealing. Dad? Mom too? Yes, my husband's parents. And more. My brother, sister, aunts, and uncles too? Yes, all the relatives. Well, why are they all here? I invited them. Rachel? You. Not you. Why should I be the one receiving those critical looks? My husband, pale as a ghost, was about to grab me, but his father stood in front of him first. Yosef! You fool! Ouch! Ooh, Dad's punch hurts. I watched, not at all sympathetic, as my husband's head was pummeled. That's right, after seeing my husband in the ceremony, I immediately called my ILs. They were shocked, of course. And quickly, the whole family gathered. Just wait, Dad. Listen to my side. I'm not listening. Sit down, I'm going to lecture you. Here, on the hard floor? Sit down. Yes, sir. Dad's thunderous voice. Unhesitatingly, my husband sat down on the floor. As he was scolded, I smirked and turned to the woman standing beside me. The bride, stunned and unable to grasp the situation. I felt sorry for her, but she needed to know. Nice to meet you, I'm Yosef's wife. Why wife? The bride, who was staring at my husband, turned to me in shock. She's cute. My husband's exact type. I'm just an average face. Me, the reality, and her, the ideal. I've been married to him for 7 years, we have a child. A child? In her disbelief, I showed her our wedding photo. When I asked my ILs, they brought the photographs. Then the phone screen. A photo of my husband holding our daughter as a baby. No recent photos, he's hardly around. The bride stared blankly at the screen. She must have known nothing. Can I ask how you and my husband first met? Well, he was a regular at my workplace. Apparently, she worked at a coffee shop. And my husband was a frequent customer. He asked me out, she revealed. So my husband made the first move. He said he remained single until now because he was destined to meet me. Yep, my husband was lying through his teeth. He'd always come over after work. We spent every holiday together, and he often took me on trips. Well, evidence galore. So, he lied about working late to visit her and spent holidays with her too. I'd like to sue my husband. Could I get that evidence from you? Bold as it might be, she readily agreed. Great, now I have the evidence. This should give me an upper hand in the proceedings. With so much circumstantial evidence, the divorce should be straightforward. My husband, continuously lectured by his stern father, was in tears. But he had no right to cry. I crouched beside him and patted his shoulder. Through his tears, he looked utterly pathetic. Rachel, I'm sorry. I really wanted to marry her. She said she'd leave me if we didn't get married. I don't care, just divorce me. I nodded dismissively, not caring in the slightest. My husband's eyes widened in shock. Really? That's what surprises you? Divorce? But I never planned to go that far. After staging this wedding and all, you think you have a say in it? I retorted. You are just you. I don't even want to say your name anymore. You cheated, so you'll be paying alimony and child support, all in one go. No, I don't want a divorce. The nerve of you, even at this point. He whimpered in fear. Who does this guy think he is? Unforgivable, not just as a husband, but as a person. It's not just about me. You've neglected Emma too. Why would you not want a divorce now? We don't need someone like you. Go ahead and marry someone else. No, it's not like that, Amidst his tearful refusal to divorce, I was interrupted by a soft voice. It was the bride, her expression hidden as she looked down. Samantha! No, it's not what you think. I truly love you. Rachel just refuses to divorce me, but I really wanted to marry you. But he had just said he didn't want to divorce me. He was probably confused himself. Basically, he didn't want to divorce me but also wanted to marry Samantha, the bride. Idiot, I almost said, but my Feuds beat me to it with a smack on his son's head. Good job, Feuds. That's enough, said Samantha, having witnessed it all. The husband looked at her, tears in his eyes. To that guy, Samantha said, with a frigid gaze. I don't want to marry you. I'm canceling this wedding. It's a good thing we didn't register yet. Besides, you're already married. Bigamy is illegal. No. Wait, Samantha. I love you. What about your wife? Oh, Rachel? I don't love Rake. Samantha, questioning about me, caught my husband almost confessing he doesn't love me. I glared, and he blurted, I do love her. What a joke. You fool! Eek! It wasn't me, but Samantha who shouted fool. She had snapped. How dare you propose to me while married, betray your wife and child? And claiming love for both, wanting marriage and no divorce. What do you take us for? Sorry. No need for apologies. I'll sue you. This is outright fraud, marriage fraud. No. Wait, Samantha's dress was clung to by my husband. What's more, he stretched his other hand towards me. As I turned. Samantha was looking at me too. We locked eyes and nodded in unison, then grabbed my husband's hand. Grasping his hand, we both smiled and yanked him up, then shoved him away, shouting, You fool. Whoa! He crashed into the cake. Afterward, I apologized profusely to Samantha and the guests. They were grateful for the truth. Good people. The reluctance towards marriage, the avoidance of family at the wedding, suspicious. He finally proposed to me as I told him to break up if we're not getting married. I wondered what he planned on registering. Samantha mused. I agreed. No relatives, no guests on his side, it was odd. It was odd that there were no guests from my husband's side. Samantha decided to settle for alimony. I've learned a lot. Next time, I'll be cautious and find a decent person, she said, looking relieved and stronger. She'll find happiness. I apologized to my friend for missing her wedding. My friend sympathized with my ordeal, assuring our friendship would last forever. As for my husband, we divorced. Despite his protests of not wanting to divorce, I told him, chasing two rabbits, you catch none. He slumped. Pondering his reluctance, I realized it must have been for my income. His savings were non-existent. I had been self-sufficient. Assuming he was handling the mortgage. A mistake, it seems. My ex-husband had been pouring all his remaining salary into her. No wonder he was always on business trips, actually taking trips with her. Money just evaporated like that. Well, I showed no mercy for the alimony and child support. No installment plans for him. His parents ended up paying up front. Under their strict watch, he returned to his day job and added night shifts to repay them. At work, his despicable conduct became the talk of the town, making him an outcast. Female colleagues, I heard, avoid him like the plague. Well, let him live in discomfort. For my daughter and me, life post-divorce remained almost unchanged. He was hardly home anyway. In fact, with a lounging father gone, my daughter seems more lively, thriving beautifully. Watching her grow, I can't help but smile, thinking I must ensure she never ends up with someone like her father.